Aliens are embedding their tentacles into human bodies, turning people into puppets and seizing complete control over their minds, actions, and will, holding the entire planet firmly under their total dominion. For centuries, aliens had kept their prisoners trapped inside human bodies, yet humans had no idea. Occasionally, a prisoner would manage to escape from the human who was holding them captive. In 1380, cult followers discovered one of these creatures emerging from a woman. They tried every possible way to kill her, but nothing worked. The unfortunate woman's body hovered in the air above them, surrounded by a golden, impenetrable shield. None of their arrows could pierce it. Determined to destroy the monster at any cost, the soldiers didn't notice tentacles striking from the shadows, killing them one by one. Suddenly, one of the cultists saw a bright light in the sky, and a car shot out of it. In the next instant, a small robot emerged from the vehicle. It scanned the woman's body and declared that she was dying. The robot reported this to a humanoid robot, who ordered it to track the escaped prisoner. The fugitive had to be eliminated before finding a new body. Hearing this, the monster realized it had no other choice and returned to the woman's body. Still, the humanoid robot managed to neutralize the criminal. Holding the empty, dying body, the robot heard her final plea. She begged them to save her little daughter. Flying into the house, the small robot found the child and immediately rescued her from a cultist who assumed the girl was the same kind of monster as her mother. Touched by the girl, the robot tried to convince its partner to take the child along, but the other robot refused. They were not to interfere in human affairs. Climbing back into the car, they left 1380 behind through the portal. 2012, arriving home, the humanoid robot took the form of a man. In truth, he was a guardian, tasked with making sure alien criminals didn't escape from their prison, human bodies. To prevent this, the aliens had locked them in different eras, and if someone ever managed to remember everything and break free, it was his duty to catch the criminal before they could leave Earth. Captured fugitives were sealed in crystals and locked away in a special room. This was already the 7th time someone had attempted to escape. Stepping out of the room, the guardian suddenly heard a child crying. He went outside and saw a little girl sitting in a car. Thunder had disobeyed him and saved the child. The robot was certain she could help them understand humans better. The man was outraged by his actions, yet he still brought the girl inside. A little later, Thunder informed him that the next convoy wouldn't arrive on Earth for another 10 years and 8 months, almost 11 years they would have to spend on this planet. 1391, Goryeo Kingdom. Sitting by the riverbank, a young mage performed his skills for a small crowd of curious onlookers. With his fan, he demonstrated his mastery over the wind, confidently claiming that nothing could harm him. One local woman took his words a little too literally and stabbed him in the leg to test the truth of his claim. Caught off guard, the young man struggled to maintain his composure while enduring the pain. At that moment, a servant from a wealthy household appeared, begging the mage to help his master. Thieves had broken into the house and stolen a valuable item. The mage immediately accepted the task and tracked down the criminals. When Muruk caught up to them, he was about to retrieve the stolen goods, but before he could, 2 shamans appeared from behind. They immobilized the mage, intending to claim the loot for themselves. Regaining his senses, Muruk sprang into action. Throwing his fan to the ground, he summoned 2 cats from it, which transformed into men. Together, they defeated the shamans, captured the thieves, and sent them to prison. At the prison, Muruk examined wanted posters, thinking about who else he could catch for a reward. When he came across the portrait of a young woman, her face seemed oddly familiar. Strange visions followed: the riverbank, a peculiar forest. Muruk dismissed them and decided to visit Navosnik, the artist who had painted the criminal's portrait, to learn more about her. There was a small complication: the man was in the very prison Muruk himself had sent him to. Arriving at the prison with his assistants, Muruk pretended to be Navosnik's son to gain permission to visit the man one last time before his death. By bribing the guard with gifts, they secured access. And when the guard bent down for a hug, the mage discreetly slipped the keys right from under his nose. Inside, the dung man immediately lashes out at Muruk. Thanks to him, he's rotting in jail with a broken arm that still hasn't healed. He swears he'll never forgive the mage and refuses to talk. But when Muruk offers the cell key in exchange for information, the man gives in and spills everything. It turns out the girl isn't the only one being hunted, so is a strange blade. On August 5th of this year, a fisherman found an unusual knife in the river near the base of Yellow Mountain. It had a precious gem embedded in it, so he took it to a blacksmith. But no matter how hard the blacksmith tried, he couldn't remove the gem, not even with a hammer. Then something bizarre happened. On the next strike, the blade slipped and stabbed the fisherman in the chest. The man, who had been limping for years, suddenly stood up straight and walked away without any support. The dung man is convinced the knife isn't from this world. Now, the blade is in the hands of Master Chung Woon, who runs the ring in Pyokrondo, down in the Yellow Mountain Valley. Armed with this new information, Muruk leaves the man a bowl of stew and the stolen key. Faking a few tears for his father, he exits the prison, ready for the next chapter of his journey. As they walk through the city streets, Muruk argues with his companions. They're convinced he's too full of himself, saying it's the fan that does all the real work. After all, the fan contains 2 powerful blades that he still hasn't managed to draw out. Trying to prove them wrong, Muruk pulls out the fan to show what he can do, but all he manages to extract is part of a handle. One of the men bursts out laughing, which pushes Muruk over the edge. He threatens to seal them back into the fan. Not wanting to risk that, the companions quickly sit him down and order something to drink to calm him down. While chatting with the shopkeeper, Muruk asks for directions to the Ring Inn. As they talk, he notices a strange man nearby, dressed in an unusually elaborate outfit that stands out even in this bustling city. Once they reach the inn, Muruk inquires about Master Chung Woon. Instead of a polite response, he's met with insults. Offended, Muruk tries to show his strength, only to realize, too late, that he's talking to Master Chung Woon himself. With a flick of magic, Chung Woon instantly paralyzes him and leaves him downstairs. Chung Woon heads upstairs to his room, where the man in strange clothing is waiting for him. The stranger has come for the celestial blade and insists it belongs to his people. At that moment, the assistants help the young man to his feet and notice the dung beetle. Leaving Muruk behind, they run after the man, while the mage decides to speak with the master one more time. Struggling to reach the 2nd floor, he sees a body fly out of the master's room. The master had been grappling with an unknown man. Realizing the master was already doomed, Chung Woon throws his blade out the window, and the dung beetle catches it. Bursting into the room, Muruk finds the dying master. Before passing, the master begs him not to interfere, and then dies. Suddenly, the young man hears the screams of his assistants. They're yelling that the dung beetle has escaped with the blade. The mage immediately drops everything and rushes after the man, and he's not alone. An unknown figure is in pursuit of the dung beetle as well. Catching up to the fleeing figures, Muruk sees a strange tentacle shoot from the back of the mysterious man toward his friend. Using his magic, he knocks the unknown man off his feet, thinking the fight is over. But it isn't. He launches his tentacles again and attacks the mage. The chase resumes, and Muruk, trying to protect the dung beetle, engages in battle with the unknown man once more, and loses. The stranger literally slams him into the fence. Some time later, the assistants find Muruk. They revive him and tell him that both the stranger and the dung beetle have escaped. Suddenly, through a hole in the fence, they notice a strange red glow. Descending to the water, they see an odd object floating, and on the opposite shore, the silhouette of a person. 2022. A young man is called into his daughter's school because of her behavior. The principal tells him that the girl went to the police and said some bizarre things. She's convinced that she was kidnapped as a baby, and that her dad is actually a robot. She even recorded a video as proof, but it's already been deleted from her phone. The man shows no reaction to the principal's words, but the moment he steps out of the school, he orders Thunder to delete the video he just watched. Outside, the guardian runs into a woman, the aunt of his daughter Yeon's classmate. Her name is Min Gae-in, and she's clearly flirting with him. He doesn't really know how to respond, so he just tries to walk away. After picking Yeon up from school, they get in the car and drive off. Determined to uncover the truth, Yeon decides to be sneaky. She calls herself from another phone and hides it in the seat to record what happens. Before going into the house, she says goodbye to Thunder. She's sure that's the car's name, because it used to talk to her when she was little. As soon as they walk into the house, the guardian demands an explanation from Thunder, who admits that he did talk to Yeon when she was very young. He thought she had forgotten everything. Meanwhile, Yeon is secretly listening to the entire conversation and realizes she was right all along. Thunder is real. She also overhears something shocking. A ship carrying 107 prisoners is set to arrive in 18 hours. Later that night, as usual, the lights in the house go out at exactly 9 p.m. and her dad disappears. Yeon quietly sneaks out of her room and heads to the car. While climbing into the vehicle, she accidentally opens the armrest and sees a strange, mesmerizing glow. Sensing that Yeon might be in danger, Thunder quickly closes the compartment and appears in front of her. She's thrilled to see him again and learns that he's basically a program that can take any form, even that of her father. Thunder then shows her a hologram of his home planet and reveals that he's not from Earth. Curious, Yeon starts asking questions and cleverly gets Thunder to reveal the landing site of the ship. It will be at Jisan Hospital. Realizing his mistake, Thunder immediately reports it to the Guardian. Just before leaving the car, Yeon asks him about herself, and finally learns the truth. She's not from this time. She's from the past. The next day, Yeon heads to the hospital, determined to see everything with her own eyes, and capture it all on camera. At the same time, the Guardian arrives at the hospital. The transport ship has already reached Earth and is ready to begin transferring the prisoners into human hosts. From the massive ship, hidden in the clouds, a small object drops onto the hospital's terrace. The moment it touches the ground, it begins to expand rapidly, transforming into a large, golden cocoon right before everyone's eyes. Within seconds, tentacles shoot out from the cocoon, latching onto the backs of people's necks. Panic erupts inside the hospital. Terrified patients and staff scramble to escape the nightmare, but there's no way out. The tendrils move too fast, and resistance is useless. Little Yeon watches it all unfold, capturing the chaos on camera. By some miracle, she avoids being attacked. Still, what she witnesses leaves her in shock. She spots her father in the crowd and runs from the hospital in fear. Moments later, after all the prisoners have been transferred into human bodies, the cocoon vanishes. The people who were attacked regain consciousness with no memory of what happened, and unknowingly return to their normal lives. The ship, mission complete, leaves Earth behind. 1931. At the Pristinok Inn, 2 sorcerers from the Three Peaks arrive to see Master Chung Woon's body. While saddened by his death, they're even more upset that the celestial blade he had promised them is now missing. After inspecting the room, they're convinced it wasn't another master who killed Chung Woon, but someone unknown. The hole in the wall and in the body suggests the killer used a tentacle. They recall a rumor: a monster lives in the secret temple. That's where they've been summoned, and that's where they'll go. Meanwhile, Muruk is tracking the mysterious figure. He arrives at a house where the man had apparently lived for 10 years. As they search the home, they find a message from the head of the secret temple, demanding that the celestial blade be brought to him. On one of the walls, they spot a strange drawing, and one of the objects in it matches something they saw in the river. Some time later, the 2 Three Peaks sorcerers arrive at the secret temple to meet its leader, Jajang. He had appeared there exactly 10 years ago, the same time the monster rumors began to spread. During their audience, Master Sin and Mistress Hugue's soul showed Jajang some of their magical items: an amulet that creates duplicates, a freezing talisman, and a mirror that enlarges anything that passes through it. But Jajang remains unimpressed. The sorcerers decide to leave. They're determined to find the celestial blade as soon as possible. However, the moment Jajang hears about the blade, he becomes alert. He learns it's currently in the palace of Lord Choi, whose daughter is getting married today. The sorcerers also reveal that a certain dung beetle stole the blade and sold it to the Lord. Jajang quickly offers his help, and the sorcerers, without much hesitation, accept. Meanwhile, Muruk has tracked down the groom and taken him prisoner. After shaving off the man's mustache and sticking it onto his own face, Muruk impersonates the groom and heads to the palace. To the delight of the townspeople, he goes through with the wedding ceremony and retreats to a private room with the bride. Sitting together, the magician lifts her veil, and realizes her face looks familiar. Then he feels something strange. It's a weapon from the future, though he doesn't recognize it as a gun. Before he can investigate further, the bride distracts him and offers him tea. Outside the window, his 2 assistants keep watch, meowing occasionally to remind him of their mission. After drinking the tea, Muruk decides it's time to look for the blade. He leaves the bride alone and sneaks into the vault. Just as he begins his search, something odd happens. He loses his balance. He hears a sound and sees the bride has also entered the treasure room. But she's also startled by a commotion outside. The sorcerers and Jajang's servants have arrived at the palace. Using magic, the sorcerers overpower the guards and force Lord Choi to hand over the blade. Meanwhile, Jajang's men discover the real daughter of the Lord tied up and hidden in a closet. Back in the room, Muruk starts to piece things together. His bride is an imposter, and she drugged him. Turns out, she's also after the celestial blade. Leaving him behind, she confidently heads outside to confront the sorcerers. Sure she can take the weapon from them herself, she first clashes with the temple's guards, taking them down one by one, then turns her attention to the sorcerers. Realizing they don't stand a chance in a fair fight, the sorcerers activate one of their amulets and vanish into thin air. But relying solely on her sharp senses, her hearing and sight, she manages to snatch the blade and even wounds Mistress Hugue's soul in the arm with her futuristic pistol. Thrilled by her success, the woman escapes the palace with the blade. But just as she's making her getaway, one of Jajang's servants blocks her path. Caught off guard, she fails to dodge the blow and falls unconscious. Jajang orders her to be bound and taken back to the temple. Meanwhile, Muruk's assistants manage to wake him up. With nothing else going their way, they decide to carry him out of the palace themselves. As they head toward the exit, Muruk spots a familiar black object, the one the woman had been carrying earlier. He immediately tells them to grab it too. 2022. After escaping from the hospital, Yeon goes to her friend's house and shows her a video she recorded there. Unbeknownst to them, the girl's aunt is eavesdropping, and what she hears leaves her in shock. At that moment, the Guardian and Thunder arrive at the classmate's house. But the Guardian isn't planning to go inside. He has no idea how to talk to people or what to say to them. Thunder, however, begins shifting into different versions of the Guardian, each one insisting that they're the best choice for the job. After a moment of thought, the Guardian sends in the romantic version, figuring that one might get along best with the aunt. Oozing confidence and arrogance, Thunder strolls into Min Gaeun's house. His odd behavior stuns the woman into silence, but eventually, he manages to take Yeon with him. Back home, Yeon demands answers. Thunder finally gives in. He explains that his civilization has been imprisoning criminals on Earth for years. Many of his people had grown tired of endless war and violence, so they decided to deal with criminals more humanely. But something went wrong. Mutants emerged, beings who chose destruction instead. The solution? Find a remote place to serve as a prison. And humans, it seemed, were the perfect hosts. Once a criminal was placed inside a human body, all of their memories were wiped. When the host dies, the criminal simply disappears. There have been a few escape attempts, but the fugitives either died in Earth's atmosphere or were caught and re-imprisoned by the Guardian. For such cases, they even have a hidden holding chamber. Hearing all this, Yin is stunned and furious. Humans never agreed to be part of any experiments. She demands to know the truth about herself, but both the Guardian and Thunder avoid the question and end the conversation. Late that night, Yin wakes up in her bed and decides to go sleep in the car. There, she talks to a robot, and once again asks about her past. Sitting on a park bench, a police officer hears a report over his radio about an escaped suspect. Without hesitation, he jumps up and gives chase, quickly catching the man. After bringing him into the station, the officer begins to notice something strange. His hearing has become incredibly sharp. He can now hear everything. This heightened ability allows him to eavesdrop on a private conversation between the suspect and his lawyer about hidden drugs. Later, the officer decides to check out the location mentioned, and brutally takes out both men. Meanwhile, an alien spacecraft is approaching Earth. It's searching for one of the escaped prisoners from the hospital, Officer Moon Do-sok. As soon as Thunder learns about it, he informs the Guardian immediately. At the same time, Moon regains consciousness in a bathroom. While at the station, his colleagues discover that he's killed multiple people, and has now gone completely off the radar. Suddenly, dark clouds gather above the city. From them, a massive alien ship descends. Realizing time is running out, the Guardian urges Yin to get out of the car, but she refuses. She's part of his family now, and she wants to see her father in action. Reluctantly, the Guardian agrees and brings her along. He immediately transforms into his robot form, while the car morphs into an alien spacecraft. Together, they speed toward the incoming threat. As police arrive at Moon Do-sok's home, they're met with the sight of something enormous hovering above it. Inside, the suspect is trying to call an elevator. Suddenly, he hears a voice calling out to him. He peers around the corner, and recoils in horror at the sight of a strange creature. Panicked, he dives into the arriving elevator. Just then, the Guardian, now in his true form, arrives at the building. He disarms all the police officers to keep them out of the way and charges inside. Meanwhile, the alien stops the elevator and tells Moon that the architect is trapped inside him, and he's here to set him free. But before he can carry out his plan, the Guardian suddenly appears, and a brutal battle erupts between the two robots, collapsing half the building in the process. Using the chaos to his advantage, Moon escapes and hijacks a police car. In the heat of battle, the enemy robot manages to seize the energy blade and hurl its opponent from a great height. Returning to his ship, he begins pursuing Moon to free the architect. Thunder finds the Guardian and helps him escape from the elevator shaft. From a small robot, he learns who is trapped inside Moon's body. It's the leader of the prisoners. He was the one who led the uprising and caused massive destruction. Meanwhile, Moon races to escape the alien ship at full speed. He drives into an underground parking garage, confident he'll lose them there. But to his horror, the ship crashes into the building and announces over the radio that it's come for him. Panicking, the officer speeds back onto the street, trying to get away again. At that moment, the Guardian appears in the sky aboard his ship. As the robots clash, they tear through buildings and streets in a desperate attempt to shake each other off. At one point, Thunder points out a weak spot in the enemy, and the Guardian decides to lure him out of the city to protect civilians. Rising high, the Guardian aims for the ship's red core, but it keeps moving along the hull. In the next instant, an uninvited guest damages the man's ship, sending it crashing into the river like a stone. Meanwhile, Moon speeds through the city streets when suddenly he spots the alien creature behind him again. Pushing the car to its limits, he loses control at an intersection, collides with another vehicle, and is thrown through the windshield. The alien immediately lands its ship and steps out, ready to free the architect. But the Guardian arrives once more, sparking another fierce battle. Despite the fight, the enemy robot succeeds in plunging the blade into Moon's chest. Under the blade's influence, the architect regains his memory. He is free once again. The enemy spy, taking the Guardian with him, activates the ship's self-destruct system and explodes. After receiving data from the system about the Guardian's vitals, Thunder rushes to his aid. He finds the robot buried in rubble and tries to transfer his own life force to revive him. But his energy reserves aren't enough to restore his friend. Realizing this, the man urges Thunder to uncover everything he can about the enemy's plans. Meanwhile, the architect, having come to terms with his true nature, exits Moon's body and heads straight for the ship. The small robot follows close behind. Once aboard, the robot uncovers a horrifying truth. The entire ship is filled with red spheres created by Hava. These spheres contain the atmosphere of their home planet. If they explode on Earth, all humans will perish, and the prisoners trapped within will be freed. Horrified by this revelation, the Guardian musters his strength and races toward the ship. He confronts the architect and throws him off the vessel. But in the struggle, 2 of the red spheres fall to the ground with him. Thunder races after them, hoping to retrieve and return them before it's too late, but a mutant alien reaches them first and detonates them. Everyone in the immediate area is killed instantly, while others flee in terror from the approaching red mist. Jan barely escapes death, saved at the last moment by Thunder, who sends her home. Knowing there's nothing more he can do, the Guardian lifts the ship into the sky and disappears. Regaining consciousness, Jan begins to remember her past, the red fog, the fallen bodies, and the machine carrying her away from her father and from Thunder. Suddenly, a voice speaks nearby. She jumps to her feet and sees the leader of the secret temple standing before her. He reminds her that they came here together 10 years ago, and that they need a spaceship and a blade to escape this time period. Instinctively, Jan tries to attack him, but quickly realizes she's trapped in an invisible prison. Back at the temple, Zhang and his accomplice discuss how they might find the architect. They're stuck in a time trap, and only he can handle the energy they need. 4 people were nearby that day. They already drove the blade into Master Chung Woon, but he died. The sorcerers, Hyug Sol and Chung Woon, touched the energy, but the architect didn't appear. That means there's only one person left to find. After escaping from the palace, Muruk regains consciousness and once again sees strange visions. A forest, a riverbank, and a little girl. Determined to steal the celestial blade, now carrying an even higher bounty, he sets his sights on the secret temple. Lying in wait, Muruk and his companions ambush a group of temple servants, neutralize them, and disguise themselves in their robes. In this guise, they enter the temple and learn that their supposed task was to deliver a poisonous mushroom to help heal Lady Hyug Sol's gunshot wound. Mi Chung Wung the mushroom with his own saliva, Muruk prepares the remedy and hands it over. Meanwhile, his companion secretly passes a letter to Zhang, revealing that a spaceship has been discovered submerged in a nearby river. Suddenly, Zhang notices that the celestial blade has begun to glow. Convinced that it has reacted to the presence of the sorcerers, he asks them to stay as his guests a little longer. While this is happening, Muruk and his allies spy on the blade's resting place and begin plotting how to steal it. But they're interrupted by a servant who sends Muruk to deliver food to a female prisoner. Disguised, Muruk goes to her cell, and the girl immediately recognizes him behind the mask. Curious, he asks her why she wants the blade. Muruk believes the weapon is important to him too, though he can't remember why, only that he's somehow connected to it. The girl refuses to explain. Trying a different approach, Muruk shows her a pistol he had found earlier. She tells him it's a weapon from the future. Amused by her story, he slides the pistol back to her through a small opening in the invisible fire barrier and heads back to the temple. Suddenly, the girl feels sick, realizing the food was poisoned. Elsewhere, Hyug Sol and Chung Woon sit down to eat rice and instantly realize something's wrong. It's also poisoned. They try to take the antidote, but it's too late. Their bodies are paralyzed. Late at night, Muruk sneaks into the temple through the roof and finds the sorcerers paralyzed and barely conscious. They beg him for the antidote, which had accidentally spilled onto the floor. Feeling pity, Muruk decides to help, but just then, temple guards burst into the room. He takes them down quickly and learns from the sorcerers that the poison had been in the food, the same rice he delivered to the girl. Without wasting a second, Muruk rushes to her rescue. On the way, he runs into more guards responding to the alarm, but dispatches them as well. Sprinting full speed toward the prisoner, he's suddenly stopped by Zhang, awakened by the noise. Meanwhile, the sorcerers, desperate, struggle to reach the antidote lying just out of reach. Summoning all their remaining strength, they finally manage to free themselves from the poison's grip. With help from his allies, Muruk escapes the temple. Once he's far enough away, he makes a decision. He has to go back, or the girl will die. He returns, places the antidote in her mouth, and realizes he's not alone. Before he can react, one of Zhang's tentacles pierces him through the chest, killing him instantly. After making sure he's dead, Zhang orders his body to be dumped in the river and the girl to be buried. As nails are hammered into her coffin lid, the girl recalls fragments of her past. Thunder had once told her about the blade. It's the source of their energy. With it, the prisoners can be awakened, and time travel becomes possible. That's how they had transported her here from the past. Yin wants to use the blade to save people, but the robot believes it's already too late. With both coffins sealed, the temple servants toss Muruk's body into the river. In the contaminated zone, several mutants awaken inside human bodies. Breaking free from their hosts, they reveal their true forms. At that moment, the enemy robot partially reboots. He hands them weapons and asks for help freeing the architect. Elsewhere, Yin gazes at the blade, mesmerized. Despite Thunder shouting at her to stop, she reaches out and touches it. Instantly, she sees a vision of her future, older, dressed in strange clothing. After everything she's been through, the Guardian comes to see the girl. He tells her that he must take the ship and the prisoners into space. He also reveals the truth about her mother. A prisoner had been sealed inside the woman's body, and when it escaped, she was mortally wounded. Before dying, she begged the Guardian not to abandon her child. He took the baby and blended it among humans. But now, Yin has become a burden. Heartbroken by what she hears, the girl decides to leave home. Before going, she leaves a photo of herself and her father on the table. Then she gets into the car. The Guardian asks Thunder to take her to Min Gae-in's house. It's the only place she'll be safe. On the drive there, the girl learns that Guardians never run, they fight until the end, and die with honor. Her father's vital signs are at just 9%. His chance of victory? Only 1%. As soon as the car carrying the child disappears from sight, the man transforms into his true form. Just a minute later, a van full of mutants pulls up near his home. He plans to slip onto the ship with them once they board, hoping to escape unnoticed, but the mutants attack first. At the same time, little Yin begs Thunder to go back to her father. She feels deep down that she can help him. After quickly running the probabilities, the robot sees that their chances of success are actually high, and he turns the car around. Back at the ship, Thunder catches the blade midair as it's thrown by the Guardian and attempts to pierce the reactor core. But before he can finish the job, the mutants intervene, and the blade slips from his grasp. Terrified of losing her father, Yian comes up with a plan: lure the invaders into the past and then return to the present. Suddenly, she spots a dagger lying nearby and bolts toward it at full speed. The enemies notice too and try to intercept her. At the last second, Thunder manages to scoop her up and get her safely back into the car. With the Guardian, Yian, and Thunder all on board, the car races toward the portal at top speed, mutants in pursuit. Just as the vehicle dives through, it pulls the flying mutants in with it. Meanwhile, the sorcerers Hyug-Sol and Chung-Woon search through Jia-Zhang's chambers. On one wall, they find plaques bearing their names, and in a cauldron, ashes from a burnt scroll. Piecing the fragments back together, they realize the document described events from 10 years ago, events they themselves had witnessed. 10 years ago, Yellow Mountain. Standing atop the mountain, Master Chung-Woon and the sorcerers of the Three Peaks watch a strange phenomenon unfold. Far in the sky, a metal carriage glides silently through the clouds. Beside them stands a young boy, Master Chung-Woon's apprentice. Leaving the boy behind, the trio sets off to investigate. Meanwhile, the runaway machine crashes through the forest, finally screeching to a halt right at the edge of a cliff. Believing their mission is complete, the Guardian urges Thunder to leave, but Thunder is badly damaged, and his life force is fading fast. Realizing they have no other choice, the robot prepares for one final battle, determined to protect Yian no matter the cost. He clashes with the architect in a brutal last stand, as his daughter screams out in desperation. Before her eyes, the mutant tears the Guardian apart piece by piece. Refusing to accept her father's death, Yian grabs a pistol and fires at Moon's body. With his last ounce of strength, Thunder tells her the odds of winning are rising. He's seen the future, and she can still fix everything. One last time, the tiny robot shields the child, slamming the door of the vehicle shut as the mutant's tentacle lashes out, only managing to shove the car. With a deafening crash, it plunges into the river. The portal in the sky seals shut. Thunder falls silent forever. Struggling out of the submerged vehicle, Yian desperately tries to retrieve the sacred blade as it sinks into the depths. But eventually, she gives up, her small hands no match for the weight of the water. At that same moment, the wounded architect realizes his human shell is dying. He needs a new body, fast. Wandering through the forest, the young apprentice suddenly spots Yeon's unconscious body. He pulls her to shore, stunned by her strange words and clothing. Hearing something about a sinking knife, he decides to help. He dives into the water, but all he finds at the bottom is her backpack. At that moment, a coffin cracks open nearby. Muruk, now an adult, climbs out. He spots the boy holding the backpack and suddenly remembers. That boy is his younger self. The memory returns, meeting Yian by the river, her asking him to find the blade. Surfacing, he looks down at himself, confused as to how he's still alive. Meanwhile, the adult Yian regains consciousness, just as her coffin is being buried. Without hesitation, she shoots two of the temple servants and bolts toward the shrine, desperate to find the blade. Inside, she comes face to face with a palanquin carrying Jia-Zhang and immediately opens fire. Luckily for her, the blade is in the hands of the temple's high priest. Startled and in pain, he drops it. Yian snatches the dagger and narrowly dodges the next wave of attackers, but then the sorcerers arrive. Using their magic, they subdue Jia-Zhang and trap him inside an iron urn. But the second mutant gets to Yian and uses his tentacles to force her to turn the gun on herself. Just then, Muruk's fan bursts to life, two blades shoot out and stab the alien, and Muruk himself appears a moment later. With great effort, he pulls a massive sword from the fan and charges into battle against the beast. Yian runs outside and spots the blade sealed inside a glowing sphere, along with the mutant's body. She fires several rounds, but the barrier is too strong. The creature notices her, and the sorcerers step in to help. Lady Hyug-Sol uses her enchanted mirror to briefly trap it, but the monster breaks free and slams through everything in its path. Muruk returns just in time, landing a devastating blow that severs the mutant's laser-armed limb. Seeing Yeon struggle to reach the dagger, the sorceress shouts to her about the mirror. Without hesitation, Yeon grabs the artifact, takes aim, and fires through the mirror, striking the sphere dead on. It cracks and shatters instantly. Yian lunges forward and grabs the blade. Suddenly, Jia-Zhang breaks free from the sorcerer's enchanted seals and escapes the temporal prison. Shedding his human disguise, he reveals his true form. Everyone watches in horror as he transforms. Yian wastes no time. She sprints to the river and jumps into a boat, hoping the thick fog will cover her escape. But spotting Jia-Zhang in the distance, she quickly changes course. When he arrives, he finds only an empty boat. Meanwhile, Yian slips away in the opposite direction, hidden among the river reeds. At that moment, Muruk kills one of the mutants. As he dies, the mutant tries to say something, claiming that something is hidden inside him, but he never finishes the sentence. Immediately, memories flood Muruk, how he washed up on the shore with the girl's backpack and returned it to her, how they sat by the fire that evening and got to know each other, and how she got scared by some noise. And he, acting like a true man, went to investigate. When he stepped onto the path, he ran into a strange, unfamiliar man. Muruk didn't know it at the time, but it was the architect, searching for a body. Overwhelmed by these memories, the mage loses consciousness and collapses next to the slain mutant. From the temple roof, the sorcerers watch it all unfold. They recall that there weren't just 4 witnesses that day, there were 5. And the 5th, the Tao Master, was Muruk. Now, it's up to them to kill him. After the credits, racing at full speed toward the portal to lure the mutants into the past, the Guardian and Thunder have no idea that Aunt Min Gae-in is watching them, and that a bomb timer has been activated on the ship. If you had the chance to travel back in time and alter the past, would you take the risk, knowing the consequences could be completely unpredictable? Share your thoughts in the comments down below, give a thumbs up, and subscribe to the channel. See you in the next videos.